What's up, guys? I'm Kate with TypeMatch, and maybe you know if you follow my Instagram page that I am a huge fan of stand-up comedy. And today I was listening to two of my favorite comedians on their podcast. It's Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura and Burt Kreischer. And no, this isn't an ad for that, but it would be freaking awesome if they saw this video and shouted me out. That'd be cool, but probably not gonna happen. But anyway, I was listening to them and I was noticing their interactions and their comedy styles as stand-up comedians are very different by their personality types. And I started to make connections with other stand-up comedians. So Burt is an ESFP and Tom is an ISTP. And most stand-up comedians, like at least the successful ones, are SP types. Not so much ISFPs, but ESTP, definitely ESFP and ISTP dominate the stand-up comedy world. So, and I've noticed differences within those three types of their styles of comedy. So I'm going to break that down a little bit for you. So Burt is an ESFP, and with ESFPs, his style is it's all about Burt. He is the star. And of course, everybody is the star of their own show, but it's different with an ESFP. It's different with Burt. It's about him. He lets you know that because he comes on stage and immediately takes off his shirt to reveal like his hairy gut. And all of his comedy revolves around real life stories of things that he did and he said and happened to him, where he is the punchline. And that's what it's about with FI, parent comedy, versus TI, parent comedy. So he'll tell a lot of stories which he admits are highly exaggerated, but they're still like highly sensory, highly experiential, and it's all about like the funny things that he has done. Whereas Tom, who's an ISTP, his style of comedy is more about other people, in the sense that it is awkward situations that he finds himself in as a result of other people lacking social grace and awareness and making things weird. So Tom Segura is an ISTP, so is Nate Bargatze. I think Nate Bargatze is a little bit lesser known than Tom and Burt, but he's up and coming. He's had a couple of Netflix specials, so you guys should definitely check him out. I think he's fantastic. He's one of my favorites. But I like the ISTP style of comedy, where it's a very kind of dry delivery, and it's making the point of the joke is that somebody is doing something that's just a little off. You know, they're making small talk, but it's a little bit off, and it's like it's painful to the ISTPs FE inferior, because they feel like they have to respond to this because they're afraid of hurting the feelings of the other person. And the joke is kind of like you're in on the joke. You're in on the fact that this is weird right now, that person is behaving like this. So with Tom and Nate, it'll be like awkward conversations that they've had with people. Like Nate has a couple of bits about like, you know, people misunderstanding what he's saying when he's at Walmart or in Starbucks. And Tom will have bits about like people having really strange small talk with him, like when he's walking into a bank. And I'm not going to tell the joke, okay? Like, I'm not trying to like ruin it or whatever. So just if you want to hear the jokes, they're fantastic. Check them out on like Netflix or YouTube, these people. But so you're kind of like in on the joke because they're setting the scene for you of how like this person is behaving, and you and he are like looking at each other like, is this really happening right now? Like, why is this person being so weird? And you're experiencing it together, kind of deal for the ISTP comedy. It's about that like shared experience and people making awkward social situations. Whereas an ESTP, like Joe Rogan, and yeah, you can disagree with me about all these people's types in the comments. I probably won't read it anyway, but anyway, Joe Rogan ESTP comedy is more about taking a social norm and looking at it for what it exactly is in reality without any sort of like intuitive interpretation or meaning behind it. Like, it's looking at it for like what we are actually doing and how it doesn't make any sense. You know, we're not even achieving what we are trying to achieve, basically. So it's kind of ridiculizing, it's whatever. It's making ridiculous our social norms and expectations by looking at the pure reality and nothing else, because in reality it is really silly. Like, he'll say things like, what are we doing here, people? You know, it's like, what are we doing, SE? And what's another? Like, when he talks about words that you're not allowed to say anymore, he will bring it to like the core essential reality of there are certain there are noises that I can't make with my face, you know, like look at it for what it purely is and nothing else. And do I have any other examples? A lot of people think that Chris D'Elia is an ENTP, and I think people mistake a lot of people for ENTPs, including me, like I did. But I think that that's a very poorly understood type. I think that Chris could be an ESFP as well, because he doesn't say anything that is digging into the deeper meaning of things. Like, if you look at George Carlin, I think that's his name. I don't like the comedy style of George Carlin. He's been recommended to me a lot of times. I always gave him a shot. It's not my style. It's not for me. But his style of comedy, he's an ENTP, and he's always looking into the deep meaning of things and trying to get people to realize the meaning. And for me, I find it far too, like, the word I use is messagey, and that's why I don't like it. Like, I don't like looking at meaning to be funny like that. But that's a more ENTP style, whereas Chris is far more sensory based and painting a picture for you in the sensory of like his own imaginings. He's very able to use an eye to imagine these scenarios, but he's more ridiculous. I shouldn't use that word, making ridiculous the sensory. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that. I guess, I don't know, that's what I was thinking about today. So you guys should all check out Two Bears, One Cave. And also check out TypeMatch. We have a dating app that is based on the 16 personality types. And it's TypeMatch on iOS and Android, and typematchapp.com for a lot more information about personality types.